The tension in the Gu mansion had reached its peak. For decades, the Gu family thrived on power, wealth, and control. Every decision was calculated. Every move was strategic. Every son was expected to obey. But Gumin had broken the cycle. And now, the entire household was on the verge of collapse. A son who refuses to bow. Gumin stood in the grand study, his own father's gaze burning into him. The room was heavy with unspoken words, the walls lined with generations of tradition he no longer wanted to follow. "You humiliated me," his father said, his voice cold. "You rejected the Kong family's daughter like she was beneath you." "I rejected her," Gumin corrected, "because I never wanted her in the first place." His father's jaw tightened. "You were raised for bigger things, Gumin. A woman like Mira will only stain our name." Gumin's hands curled into fists. "You talk about our family's name," he said, voice sharp. "But have you ever asked what I want? Or does that not matter to you?" His father's expression darkened. "Your wants are irrelevant. You are not a boy anymore. You are the face of this empire." And yet, Gumin countered. "I built that empire. I made Gu Corp what it is today, not you. And if you think you can control my life the way you control business deals, then you don't know me at all." A mother's desperate plea. The silence was deafening. Then, a softer voice broke through. "Gumin." His mother's voice trembled. She had been sitting quietly, watching the two men she loved destroy each other. She walked up to him, her eyes filled with both worry and sadness. "Think carefully about what you're doing," she whispered. "Your father may be strict, but he only wants what's best for you." Gumin exhaled, his anger wavering for a brief moment. "I know you want peace, mother," he said gently, "but I won't live my life like a puppet." Her fingers tightened around his arm. "If you go against your father, you might lose everything." Gumin met her gaze. "Then I'll lose everything. Because Mira was worth it." The shattering blow. His father's voice rang out once more. "Then leave." The words hit like a final blow. The entire room fell silent. Even his mother paled. Gumin's lips curled into a humorless smirk. Of course. He had known this was coming. The moment he chose Mira over the perfect image of a Gu heir, he had become an outcast. But what his father failed to understand was, he was already free. Without another word, Gumin turned and walked away. And as the heavy doors closed behind him, he didn't look back. Because for the first time in his life, he wasn't walking toward what was expected of him. He was walking toward the only thing that truly mattered, her. He had walked out of the Gu mansion, severing ties with a family that had tried to control every aspect of his life. He had chosen Mira, but choices came with consequences. The empire he built in the shadows. What his father didn't know, what no one knew, was that Gumin had never placed all his power in Gu Corp alone. He had always known that his father's control over him was conditional. That the moment he stepped out of line, they would strip him of everything. And so, years ago, he had begun building his own empire. Businesses under different names. Investments scattered across industries. Deals that had been signed without ever needing the Gu family name. He had connections, powerful people who owed him favors, people his father had no idea he had helped. Yes, losing Gu Corp would be a blow. But it would not break him. Because Gumin was not just the heir of the Gu family. He was his own man. And soon, his father would realize that he could stand without them. Myra's guilt. At Myra's small apartment, she sat across from Gumin, watching him in silence. She had been his breaking point. The reason he had finally gone against his father. The reason he had lost the family he had spent his whole life trying to satisfy. She swallowed. "Gumin." He looked up. She hesitated. I feel like I took something away from you." Gumin leaned forward, his sharp eyes studying her. Then, with deliberate slowness, he took her hand. "You didn't take anything from me," he said. "I was already suffocating. You were just the reason I finally let myself breathe." Her heart clenched. She had been drawn to him because he was powerful, untouchable. But now, he had given up everything for her. Was she worth that? Gumin seemed to sense her thoughts. He brought her hand to his lips, pressing a soft kiss to her fingers. "If I could go back," he murmured, "I would still choose you." Her chest tightened. "Even if it means losing everything?" His gaze darkened. "I didn't lose everything." His grip on her hand tightened. "I have you." The threat that lurks. But even as he reassured her, Gumin's mind was calculating. His father would not let this go so easily. The Gu family had spent too long crafting their image. They had too much pride to simply accept that their heir had walked away. And if there was one thing his father was good at, it was removing obstacles. Gumin's expression hardened. His father wouldn't come for him. No, his father would come for Mira. He would try to make her leave him. He would try to destroy her. And that was why Gumin couldn't afford to be weak. Because he would protect her. Even if it meant going against everything he once believed in. Even if it meant destroying the family that created him. Mira was his choice. And he was ready to face the consequences. Mira sat on the edge of Gumin's massive bed, her fingers gripping the sheets tightly. She wasn't sure how long she had been staring at the dark city skyline through the floor-to-ceiling windows of his private home. After everything that happened, losing their jobs, being cast out by the Gu family, the public watching their every move, this should have been the moment where reality crashed down on her. But reality wasn't the reason she couldn't sleep. Gumin was. Because now, for the first time in days, she wasn't afraid of his father's wrath. She wasn't afraid of what came next. She was afraid of him. Afraid of what he did to her whenever they were alone. Afraid of how much she wanted him. Because no matter how much she prepared herself, he was always too much. She flinched slightly when she heard footsteps approaching. She didn't have to turn around to know it was him. Gumin had a presence that filled every space he walked into. A moment later, she felt his warmth behind her. He reached over her shoulder and set down a steaming mug of coffee on the nightstand. His fingers brushed against her arm, lingering just a second too long. Still awake, he asked, his deep voice making her shiver. Mira swallowed hard. "I couldn't sleep," he hummed, stepping away. "That makes two of us." She finally turned to look at him. He had just taken a shower. His damp hair fell slightly over his forehead, and the loose robe he wore barely hid the toned muscles underneath. He looked effortless, untouchable, but also undeniably tempting. She quickly looked away, her heart pounding. He noticed. Of course he noticed. A smirk touched his lips. "What is it?" he asked, leaning against the dresser, arms crossed. Mira hesitated, biting her lip. "Nothing." Gumin raised an eyebrow. "Liar." She exhaled, frustrated. "You." She struggled to find the right words. "You go too hard on me." He blinked. Then suddenly he laughed. A real laugh. Deep. Low. Amused. Mira stiffened. "It's not funny." Gumin pushed off the dresser and walked toward her slowly, his smirk deepening. "So, let me get this straight," he said, stopping just in front of her. "You want me, but not too much?" Myra's face burned. She refused to back down. "I just mean, you don't hold back." His expression darkened slightly. "And you want me to?" She bit her lip, suddenly unsure. Gumin tilted her chin up, forcing her to look at him. "Don't pretend you don't like it," he murmured. Her breath hitched. Because he was right. Even when she told herself to stop, she never did. She always gave in. Because the truth was, when Gumin touched her, she craved more. And he knew it. Gumin leaned in, his lips brushing against her ear. "Go to sleep, Mira," he whispered. "Because if you keep looking at me like that, I won't hold back tonight either." Mira sucked in a sharp breath. He pulled away and walked toward the balcony, leaving her completely breathless. She should have felt relief. But all she felt was anticipation. Like and subscribe to get notification when I post.